All right, guys, here we go. Game number 5 between TSL and MVP, and here we have our representative from Team MVP, our red Terran player down in the bottom right part. What in the world just happened
I have no
to
idea.
the English language that was coming out of my mouth? The bottom right spot on Antiga Shipyard.
Those
it
are
is
words.
MVP.Dream. Wow, man, the mouth rebels. And in the upper right, we have our what? All right, you just do this one. I'm done.
And in
I'm
the upper
done.
left-hand part of the map, we have from Team SCB Live our blue Zerg player, HyuN. I got you covered.
Yep. All right.
Good effort.
Thanks.
A plus for effort.
Appreciate it.
Maybe even an F for effort. All right. Well, hey, it's TVZ. We can talk about that though. It's TVZ on Antiga Shipyard, and you know we mentioned this a little while ago, but when we went to dinner with DRG and MMA at Hot Import Nights, we asked MMA, okay, so what is a Terran favored map? And he said Antiga Shipyard. And DRG kind of laughed and said, well, no map is Terran favored at the moment, which may have been true.
Well, to DRG, it may be true.
Yes, to DRG, certainly. But we've seen this as kind of the go-to pick for a lot of Terran players.
Yeah, I mean, it is a base that Terrans can still, or a map rather, that Terrans can still do a good job on. It's a lot easier for Terran players to hold that high middle ground in the center of the map and get that center base as well than it is for the other races. So there's a lot of stuff that Terran can do. You know, that said, though, they do need to worry about counterattacks. Zerg can swing their forces around the outside. Mutalisks are pretty good on this map, too. So there's a good amount that Terrans need to think about when they're deciding their builds, deciding their strategies on this map. But yeah, overall, a lot of Terran players do feel confident on it. But I got to say, TSL Polt, I'll never forget talking to him about maps back in Korea last year. And he said, you know, what surprised me at the time, that he didn't want to play on Antiga Shipyard. He thought back then that it was kind of a Zerg favored map. So there are a lot of Terran players out there that don't like it that much too.
And HyuN actually picking up on the fact that Dream did go for Command Center first there, deciding to put down his barracks and immediately into gas right afterwards. So should have those, should have some reactored Hellions up not too much later than he normally would, but we'll see if he decides to go down lots of bases. And look at this, it's actually 3 hatch no pool for HyuN. So both players just trying to outgreed each other, as we saw that Command Center first into a 3 hatch no pool.
Well, we're seeing this more and more. I mean, remember back when StarCraft 2 came out and people were like, Zerg should be punished for taking that hatchery first. Why in the world would a race get to have a second base before anything else and not pay for it with their lives? So then, you know, a lot of people just kind of accepted it over time that Zergs needed that they can get away with that. And other races, the Terrans and the Protoss, were like, all right, well, how can we expand aggressively to counteract that? You know, can we still open in a way that keeps us safe, but gives us an economic advantage that can keep up with a Zerg? And so then we started seeing the Command Center first, the One Rax expands, Nexus first, Forge expands, and now Zerg players have kind of responded again, and they're like, all right, well, they're playing really greedy and not putting any pressure on in the very early game, so why not just go up to another base? And you know what? This is just becoming more and more common in ZVT.
This is incredibly well timed out by Dream at the moment as well. Just perfect time for each of these add-ons, structures, everything really coming together. This is well practiced on just this map alone. HyuN, on the other hand, just mining with one guy after he decided to get his Zergling speed, so very slow gas income at the moment, and just going ahead and powering ahead with his queen count and his eventual drones. But of course, 3 super quick bases up for him.
Yep. That's right, and speaking of 3 bases, Command Center number 3 being taken by Dream right now as well. So prepare for a little bit longer game, because both these players not looking like they're going to get aggressive at all. Second refinery being taken by Dream as well. So I wonder, are we going to see more barracks go down? We do have that tech lab going down on it, or will that be potentially for a starport? Follow up with some Banshees possibly. We do see that quite a bit.
Well, he does have the resources for it.
Two engineering bays instead, so it's going to be the double upgrades. I like that style. That's a style that Keen likes to play with. Polt, MMA, Marine King loves this style. 3 command centers with some Hellions for a little bit of pressure, and then going right into the double upgrades for Bio. It gives you a very large, very strong Marine force later in the game, and a lot of times if you can control it well, that can win.
I love when Marine King plays this style. I mean, he's just a
He's the best at
master
it,
of
by
control
far.
with it. It's insane.
Yeah.
Once you get those well-upgraded bio units, and he's really good as well about holding off any sort of quick aggression right at the beginning. As we can see now, HyuN going after a Baneling Nest. Eventually, we'll see Layer Tech here in just a second as he moves up to a total of 4 gas. Now, of course, Dream did check on and did see the third base, as a matter of fact, but you know, he doesn't quite know exactly when that came up. As we can see, that was the first scouting that he had done, so he has no real indication that this was a triple hatch before pool build.
Yep, that's right. So now my question is kind of 2 things right now. Are we going to see Dream focus on mostly medevacs and just go kind of Marine medevac for a while in the game and then add on the tanks later? Or will he just kind of go medevacs off of a single starport and then get some tanks along with this? Either way, despite which way he does it, HyuN can do what a lot of Zergs have been choosing to do against this and just going very, very Baneling heavy. Because, yeah, you can split your Marines and do all that fancy stuff, but there comes a time when there's just so many Banelings that it doesn't matter how good your Marine splitting is. Without that amount of tanks to focus down the Banelings, you're just going to get overrun. And Zerg players are going back to that style. It's working beautifully.
Okay, well, the Queen's just moving out further and further for HyuN at the moment. He doesn't have any sitting down over at his third base now. Let me take a look at his natural. Okay, still has 5 Queens up in general, and starting that creep spread ever so slowly, just making sure the Hellions won't be able to make their way in and do too much damage. As we can see, though, medevacs are what are being prioritized at the moment, and upgrades. Not a lot of forces on the field for Dream really at all, but very soon he's just going to be able to move into mass, well-upgraded unit production.
Yep, and he is going to skip tanks for a little while, and look at this, a pretty quick Spire on the way for HyuN too. I mean, he does still like to play in that sort of, well, he does like to get a lot of Mutalisks. You notice a lot of former Brood War players really still do like to put a priority on getting those Mutalisks out there. I mean, I'm glad to see that. I love Mutas. And this could work out really well. I mean, he's going to focus mostly on Ling Baneling, especially with the double upgrades. But he's going to have that backbone of Mutalisks out to just harass, to do a little bit more damage, pick off the small number of tanks if there are any, clean up drops. So HyuN's going to have a great composition against this. It's really going to come down to just how good Dream's unit control is more than anything at this point.
And there's a stim. Pretty aggressive move up here from Dream as he wants to take out some creep tumors and a couple of units here. So certainly able to do just that. Picks off all of the active creep tumors that were running through the front of the map. So pretty well done by him. And scans again to see if he wants to move forward, but decides against it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to move forward into that. I mean, even with those Hellions, it's going to be pretty tough to stop. Now, HyuN's just kind of trying to buy time until his Baneling speed finishes. He's going to have 1-1 as well, but that Baneling speed is really what's going to let him chase his opponent away, and it looks like he's going for it, trying to catch his opponent unawares while he attacks the rocks, and that worked pretty well.
Isn't it? He really needs to pick up inside of the medevacs. Great target fire, though. He actually picks off all of the Banelings. Wow, that was really well controlled by Dream.
No kidding. HyuN, with those Mutalisks on the way, can just kind of pull back and, again, just sort of buy time. He's going to lose that Queen. But we'll have to see how well he holds here. More Zerglings on the way, but no Banelings out right now.
Yeah, and it looks like
tense.
Yeah, Dream's just going to try and kill as much as he can here. The Zerglings have all died. That's a great position for those Marines. Queen going down as well. HyuN losing quite a bit of stuff here, and the Mutas, one of those actually just disappearing right away.
Yeah, you know, I feel like HyuN just made a huge mistake. I mean, he will be able to potentially clean this up, but he's going to lose so much doing that. Might be able to get some of these medevacs, which will help. But the big problem for HyuN is that he attacked that force right before Baneling's speed finished, and it finished a little bit too late for the Banelings to really make use of it in it. And I think that's what let a lot of those units of HyuN survive, or of Dream survive, rather. But by the same token, you can't really take the credit away from Dream. He did a great job getting those Marines and Hellions in a position to be able to handle things as efficiently as he possibly could. So definitely did that well as well. And HyuN, look at this, sending Mutas to all 4 corners of the world, it looks like.
Yeah.
Seeing what he can find here. Looking for medevacs. I can't believe he just barely missed that one at the bottom of the map.
Well, it was sitting on top of the Overlord, and he had the Mutalisks right here and didn't go after it.
Yeah, so I don't know how he didn't see that.
It was a little weird there.
Whoops.
Well, anyway, sensor tower up at the front. Looks like Dream going to assume a little bit more of a defensive position, dropping a little bit, but just making sure that he's nice and secure against some sort of a big attack. 38 Lings coming up for HyuN, along with 2-2 upgrades as HyuN is trying to go over to his 4th.
Yep. Has he broken the rocks down at that alternate third base? Hopefully he has, because if you don't, that can leave that very, very, very vulnerable. He's going to move some Lings up there to defend against a possible drop too, but in this situation, you definitely want to have something working on those rocks too.
And Mutalisk took a little bit of fire there as well. HyuN just going to another huge round of Zerglings. We've been seeing a lot of Zerg players do this to take advantage of the fact that it's largely Marine compositions that are coming out, and Terran players are waiting on tanks. Oh, cancel his force on this 4th base, so really well done there by Dream.
Yep. Yeah, I'm actually surprised he was able to get in there and do that. And look at that. More Mutas taking some damage. One nearly going down.
He actually took out 2 there, so...
Man.
And one almost went down again. Man, this has been very cool stuff out of Dream. Now, HyuN is certainly no slouch. He's making 56 Banelings right now and still does have quite a powerful frontline engagement force, but he's on even basis with his Terran opponent.
Yeah.
The siege tank count's starting to rise now for Dream as he is double producing those tanks. So things will start to get a little bit rough for HyuN very soon.
Well, this is what so many Zerg players do, is they wait until they're close to 2-2 and then they make this big, huge Zergling, Baneling, Muta push, and this can be pretty devastating if you're not prepared. And is Dream prepared? How many tanks does he have? He only has 3, and I don't think that's going to be enough. Here we go.
We'll see if he can target fire out these Banelings in the middle. Banelings forced to use themselves on siege tanks. There's a lot left over here. Is it going to be enough? Looks like he's just going to duck and try and take out this bunker here. Supply depot's finally raised. The Banelings just kind of sitting in position and waiting. Oh, now finally. Oh, God, they can't decide what to go after. There, finally, a few workers do go down, but HyuN actually is devastated as a result of that. There's a drop going on at the same time. Dream actually ended up, after all of that, with a 52 supply advantage.
Yeah, HyuN could have controlled that a lot better, I gotta say, man. I mean, he lost a lot of Banelings because they were so clumped up when he attacked. He didn't split them very well. He actually used a lot of them on tanks, because he had to. He moved the Zerglings in a little bit too quick. Oh, and look at this, the Zerglings trapped behind the Queen. Well, now they can get through because the Queens are dead, but yeah, HyuN, you know, he had a great plan, a great force built up, but just the engagement was pretty bad.
Okay, well, HyuN certainly in a tight spot right now. How many workers has he lost? 39 to these drops. He's sitting on just 61 drones at the moment.
He's like
almost lost a hatchery there, too.
It's like 60 supply down right now, too. I mean, it's going to be pretty tough for a Zerg player from TSL to come back. After this point, he's going for Infestor Tech now, but any amount of teching he does lowers the amount of Banelings and Mutas he has out. That's going to lower his ability to defend against drops, defend against pushes here, and Dream is going to be able to potentially take a pretty safe 4th base, while HyuN is really struggling to hold just the 3 that he has.
And looks like he's going to take this opportunity to pick off a couple more Mutas. 2 more actually falling before all is cleaned up here. And Dream just kind of running through the middle with the remainder of his drops, just continuing to do damage. Looks like he's going to prioritize workers now, killing a couple of those before the Zerglings finally do clean him up.
Yeah, 3-3 on your Marines is pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty tough for Zerg to deal with that. And he does have that high ground, you know, that I was talking about at the start of the game. It's what Terran players like to sit on as they take their 4th bases. And he's got a great position now to attack his opponent from.
And how many Mutas are left? Just the one you see there. That's it. Just a lot of ground forces, but just 39. I mean, there's half as many Zerglings as there are Marines on the field, and we haven't even started to take into account the tanks.
Yep, that's right. The rocks are dead. And a little bit of a counterattack at that base. The Planetary Fortress not quite finished yet, so some SCVs will go down. Just a couple of the Marines come in to clean this up.
Okay, so Dream just played this game incredibly well.
Third.
And, hey, there's a few Infestors up, but those alone aren't going to be enough. And really good splitting. Look at that from Dream, making sure the Fungals won't do all that much damage. All of the energy virtually gone from these Infestors, and they are now just dead weight.
Yeah,
there's a GG. MVP.Dream takes the game, brings it back 3-2.
Yep, HyuN, you know, putting a lot into that